Welcome everybody back to Friar Talk. We are back after about a 9-10 day break. Over the holidays, we were kind of planning to get a couple episodes out. Didn't really work out. We're all traveling. People got sick. So coming back this Monday, excited to actually talk about the Padres because some things have happened now. A lot of people wanted the Padres to go after Jose Abreu. We made a video at it. It was just Chase and I. Isaac wasn't on, but Isaac had the same thoughts as us of basically you can allocate your money better elsewhere for where this team is at. So Abreu does end up signing with the Astros. I think it's a great pickup for the Astros on that side. But for the Padres side of it, I think it makes a lot more sense to not spend your money there, especially when you need a 4 and a 5 starter. And then also kind of side note, this isn't as big of a signing, of course, but Mike Clevenger officially also is gone. So he is off the table now. But today we wanted to talk about some of the best remaining free agent options at first base now that Abreu is off the board because he was kind of that number one target for a lot of people and a lot of Padres fans, especially. So he signs a 3-year, $60 million deal with the Astros. So first off, how do you guys kind of feel? And Isaac, you can start off since you didn't really get your thoughts on Jose Abreu out before. But how do you guys feel about the signing, 1 for the Astros and 2 for the Padres missing out on Abreu?
I thought it was good that the Padres didn't get Jose Abreu. I think that's one of the guys that he's 36 years old. He's of course, he's coming off an amazing year. He's probably still got it as a slugger, but that's a deal that I don't think goes in the Padres' favor. Though it's a little different for the Astros. I think that one's going to go in their favor. That's a really good organization. That's great with player development and is probably going to help him prolong his success. So I think that deal is going to look good for at least another year, maybe 2 years. But for the Astros, I thought that was a pretty solid deal. You go from Yuli Gurriel. I don't think he had a very good year last year. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But you upgrade to a guy that was a 3-4 WAR player last year who has still very high exit velocity, still can hit the crap out of the ball, and he's going to Houston on a team that just won a championship and has all the tools there to win another one and has all the tools to help him prolong his success. So I think that's a good signing for the Astros, but I would not have been able to say the same for the Padres considering that 20 million that 20 million per year that he got signed to would not have helped the Padres. Considering you probably need to spend 20 million on a pitcher. You really need another pitcher. So therefore we'll say for the Padres that would have been a bad deal, and I'm glad that we did not get Jose Abreu. Because there's some familiar faces that I want back. I want Josh Bell or Brandon Drury back. You see, Jose Abreu got signed to 20 million. How much do you really think Josh Bell is going to get? 15 max? I would say 15 max. Coming off a pretty down half season, I would say, for the Padres. But what I like most about Brandon Drury and Josh Bell is they both have experience in Petco Park already. Josh Bell brings another lefty bat, and I kind of find it hard to believe that he won't succeed. Yeah, he didn't have much success in a Padres uniform last season, but very short sample size. And you're looking at a guy that has a career 120 OPS plus. And what was it? 2021, he had like 27 home runs. 2019, he had in the 30s. I mean, this is a guy that I find it hard to believe that he won't have success wherever he goes next season. I'm hoping that's in a Padres uniform. And Brandon Drury is kind of the guy where you'll actually be able to get him for a lot cheaper. Now, whether it's as a platoon bat or as a guy you want at first base full time, or he's able to play multiple positions, but that's kind of up to whoever signs him. That's kind of tough because I don't think he can be a full-time player. In Cincinnati, yes, he was a full-time player, and in a Padres uniform, he wasn't half bad. But that's kind of banking on the breakout Brandon Drury had rather than the career Brandon Drury has had. Are you going to bank on the breakout? And that's okay if you bank on the breakout because it's not that much money. And that's a player that has shown he can hit for some power. He's hit a few bombs at Petco. He has some experience at Petco. He's not bad defensively. But my personal favorite is Josh Bell with Brandon Drury a close second. The only problem with Josh Bell is that 15 million might be considered a little expensive for the Padres. But there's a lot of conflicting things going on. The Padres don't want to go past a luxury tax. And then you see things like the actions speak a lot louder than the words. The actions show me they're willing to do it for the right people.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Pretty glad we missed out on Abreu. Just kind of felt like if we signed him, his power numbers in Petco really would have taken away a lot of his home runs. I know we talked about it in the last video. He would have never hit over 30 home runs in Petco Park. Petco was the least friendly hitter park in all of the MLB last year, basically. So you're taking a guy who is on the decline in slugging, getting up there in age, and it's just sort of a recipe for disaster. And kind of glad we missed out on there. We kind of saw the same thing with Josh Bell and Drury for a little bit, to a less extent Drury. Drury was still hitting bombs out there in Petco. Josh Bell kind of went on the decline in slugging and everything. I think it's just getting used to a new place. Keep him in the same place for a second year in a row might do him wonders. So I agree with Isaac. I think Josh Bell would be a great addition. With Brandon Drury being a close second, I like Josh Bell's ability to switch hit. Just it adds versatility to your lineup. You can always have him there. You don't have to really worry about him not hitting against righties like you might have to with Brandon Drury. Probably the third candidate that I would go. I'm gonna put him at 3 though. I think Trey Mancini. He's known to slug. He plays a good first base. He's got a great story behind him. He's a good ball player, good person. I feel like he'd be a solid clubhouse guy. And he honestly wouldn't make that much money. He might be the cheapest out of there outside of Will Myers. You know, Josh Bell's going to demand $15 million. You don't know what Brandon Drury is really going to make because of the breakout year that he had, and whether or not some team's going to sign him to a long-term contract and basically bank on his breakout year being this is what he's going to do every year. Mancini's had a really solid floor basically throughout his entire career. He's now playing first base, and he can play an emergency outfield spot if you need him to. I mean, he can play left field if you need to, and he's a solid defender. He's solid slugging. He's not too old. You can probably sign him to like a 2-year, 15, maybe $20 million deal at the most. And then at the last option, you know, I'd probably go Will Myers. Just, I love the guy. He's done a lot for San Diego. He won't, you know, ask for the most money because of the year that he had, but he's a really plus defender. Basically can pick anything. He's got plus power, plus speed. And he's been around the Padres system. He knows what all the guys, solid clubhouse guy. So those are my 4.
Yeah, I like it a lot. And also the way you're talking about it too, Chase, it feels like it's just inevitable that we're going to end up getting the exact same guys back next year. It's going to end up being a DH first base platoon of Myers. Maybe, I mean, also maybe even Voit as well. He's kind of a guy that gets brought up. You guys didn't bring him up, but you know, he's a free agent as well. I do think it's interesting just how the whole narrative on Josh Bell has gone, because for us, like we've talked about him a little bit, we were super high on the Padres getting Josh Bell. Like we had talked about maybe for 2 consecutive seasons, maybe even more. Like the Padres need to go get Josh Bell. Josh Bell would be the perfect guy to bring in at first base. Oh, Josh Bell would be the perfect guy to replace Eric Hosmer. And then Josh Bell ends up coming to San Diego, and he struggles pretty badly in his time here, I would say. But then if you like look at the numbers, it's not like that horrible. Like it's not good, but it's not like as bad as you felt like it was. Maybe that's just because of the expectations. But when I'm looking at first base, I think that you bring up Trey Mancini, you could bring up Luke Voit as guys that are kind of, you know, they could play first base, but probably you'd rather have them at DH. You brought up Drury, Myers, but like outside of them, it's like Josh Bell and Brandon Belt, and that's kind of it. Like there's not a lot of options. So maybe you could see someone going at trade, like you could see it like via trade, but Rizzo's also off the board. I know some people thought about him. I think it makes a lot of sense that the Yankees brought him back just because it's like the best spot for him, honestly. So if you're looking from the Padres' perspective, you can basically go trade for someone, which I don't really think it makes a ton of sense to use your assets right now to go trade for a first baseman. Like out of all of the positions, like come on, let's go and get something else. Let's make a move for a starter. Let's make a move for an outfielder. You know, something like that. I think is makes a little bit more sense for the Padres. So I would probably say that Josh Bell is maybe number 1 on that list. Now he's going to come with the biggest price tag, so that's the big question there. I still think Trey Mancini does make a lot of sense, but ultimately, I think with this whole situation, I'm happy the Padres didn't pay $20 million for Jose Abreu. I think that would have been a big issue where even if you band-aid first base, I mean, look what the Padres kind of did with Luke Voit last year. Luke Voit wasn't that good. Like, he wasn't that good in San Diego, but he wasn't that bad. He started to heat up towards the end after he got like acclimated to Petco Park. They didn't have to move much to go get him. You could see a similar deal with a first base DH kind of guy. So I think that that's definitely an option, but I do think that probably what they want to do, and the way that they've kind of this whole offseason has started too, because Isaac, you brought this up. You basically said, hey, it looks like they're willing to spend a lot of money. It looks like they're willing to do this. Another thing that looks like they really want to do is they want to run it back. Like, they just brought back Robert Suarez and Nick Martinez. So that seems to be their overall goal. It seems like they like Josh Bell. They like Brandon Drury a lot. It seems like they still would like to see Will Myers back. Like, it seems like their goal is to run it back with basically the same virtual team, except for a better starting staff and, of course, Fernando Tatis. Like, that is their goal. And maybe Drew Pomeranz if you're really lucky for a cherry on top. But I'm not holding any faith out for Pomeranz. I mean, shoot, even in terms of running it back, there was a report today that apparently they want to bring back Craig Stammen. Like, so apparently they literally want every single player back. Now, I don't, except for Clev, I guess. But I'm not an advocate for bringing back Stammen. But I mean, for a lot of these other guys, I would like to see it. And I would like to see Josh Bell have a much larger sample size in San Diego, because I still think that's a great bat to have. So I like the idea too. I agree with where you guys' heads are at as well. But anything else you want to add on first base?
No, man, not really. I mean, I think spending a lot of money on a first baseman isn't really worth it to begin with. Um, Josh Bell, you could say, is a decent amount of money, but I don't really think he's that big of a chunk of change. I mean, maximum 15 million is what I'm thinking. Especially considering coming off the second half that he had. I don't think he's going to go for more than that. And I think there's a good opportunity for the Padres to say, hey, this is the guy that I mean, you got him for a reason. You got him for a reason. Everybody was super high on him all around the league, especially the Padres. They were high on him. And you were high on him for a reason. So I think it's worth a 2-3 year deal if you really want to do that. Because if you can lock him in for 15 or under for 2-3 years, I think you got something good brewing. Like I said, I find it hard to believe that a guy with a career 120 WRC plus isn't going to get it done at the plate consistently. Now, the other options, Trey Mancini and Will Myers, they're not awful either. I mean, they're going to be cheap bats, and they kind of fit into that don't spend a lot of money at first base thing. There's not like many options, but I'm not exactly mad at the options that there are on the market. When it comes to trading for a first baseman, I don't think that should be in our plans. Because when AJ trades, he goes for a big trade, meaning he trades one of his top prospects. If you're going to trade Jackson Merrill, or if you're going to trade one of your top prospects, it can't be for a first baseman. It needs to be for like Corbin Burns, Shane Bieber, something like that. And that's the only way that I think they should get traded. I don't even think the Padres want to trade Jackson Merrill, but those are the only guys they should be targeting if they are interested in trading him in any way. So trade market, I don't think is optimal. Running it back with one of the two guys that were San Diego Padres is optimal to me.
Yeah, 100% agree. Outside of Profar, I don't get the Craig Stammen signing. I get you like him. He's a clubhouse guy. Keep him as a coach then. Just don't waste the bullpen spot on him. Let him be a bullpen coach. Let him be, just a clubhouse guy as a coach. I have no problems with that, but don't waste the bullpen arm on him. He's going to be, what is he going to be, 37 now? 38? I mean, we saw David Robertson come out and be a solid guy, but Craig Stammen does not have David Robertson stuff. So no hate to Craig Stammen. I know Isaac doesn't like the guy for his past wonders on the mound, but let's run it back with Bell and Drury. If not, Bell and Myers. Just bring back two of the guys from the team last year, and let's see what they can do.
Yeah, I'm there with you guys. So anyone's listening, comment below. Who do you think the Padres should target now that Jose Abreu is off the board? And let us know what you think. So we'll talk to you guys soon, and happy to be back.